Okay, what we are doing is we are logging into freeshell.org for a free account. Once you get your free account, I want you to click on Free Shell Login User and just put in your answer. Okay. And once it gets submitted, I'll have a list of those, and then I will validate you as the next level user that gives you all kinds of free stuff for a year. Okay. Rather than writing it on a piece of paper and me typing it again, let's use the technology to make life easy. Okay. Go back to here, to 10. So last week we did a bunch of stuff with Logical Volume Manager, right? And we all have that memorized, and I can ask you all to do it over again from scratch. So what I did is I created this. It's basically what we did last week with a few additional things. And what this is doing is just a text file. This is basically the history file ripped off. Okay. There's a few things in here we didn't do that I want to cover today. We did do this. Okay. Enable the Getty for SS0. How do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. We did this, but then how do you test it? I'll show you how to do that tonight too. What do these do? Answer these questions as part of your documentation as you write this stuff out. Okay. We are at week 7. I'm going to increase the pace somewhat because the goal is I would like to get to the point where you guys create your own Debian.iso, where you plug in the USB, you turn it on, and it does everything for you. No additional keystrokes. Yes. It will require a rather steep learning curve because I have not taught folks how to use the make MKFS ISO in a while. So what we'll be doing is we'll be extracting the Debian ISO to our disk, modifying it, and turning it back into an ISO. So when you burn it to your USB, it just does its thing. And guess what? It won't work the first time. And then you'll have to do it again. And maybe by the 12th time, we'll get it figured out. But then you will have actually created an ISO that you just put in, boot, and the machine's ready to go, including renaming the host name. By the way, finding and changing the host name to the last 3 MAC addresses. A few of you owe me laps around the building. The guilty will remain unnamed. You ran these commands on the wrong computer. You ran it on the host machine, not the virtual machine. You screwed my machines up. So don't do that again. Okay. I fixed them. I saved you from having to work till midnight. Okay. A few of you owe me laps around the building. Ran out wrong. Okay. Now here, remember this whole long command? We did something with that. And one of the things I want you to mention, I forgot to put it in the notes there, is, oh, there it is. Where is this thing saved? Oops, that didn't work very well. Let's see. Where is Mac name saved? Will it be there after a reboot? Instantaneously, you should say. All right. We have a few people tracking. Awesome. All right. And this is basically what we did. And then we started the process of our logical volume managers. Okay. And what we did there is, where's the virtual machine manager? I will show you, we'll go back to SDF, so don't worry. I got way too much stuff open. Okay, here's the virtual machine manager. And we say view details. Add hardware. We add 2 disk drives, 5 gig, big enough. Then we go back and we say view console. Okay. Now what I've done is I've logged into the machine somewhere. So we can, not that one. Better start closing some of these terminal windows. Oh, here we go. So I am logged into my virtual machine from my Tux account on the machine in front of you. So my host machine is logged into my VM. And I'm using this terminal to make things bigger and prettier. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And this is basically what we did last week. Okay. And the questions I put in on the web page here is add to this F disk minus L. What does it do? What does it show? And it shows you the hard drive you just added. Did you have to reboot to acknowledge hard drives? No. So it's like using a hot swap RAID card to put disk into your virtual machine. Okay. And then we F disk these things, and then what kind of partition do we need? We label it with a number. We did all this, but you don't remember it all because we had a lot of things to do. So that's why I said last week, we're going to do it again. And then you'll start writing little notes down to complete the documentation. Okay. All right. Because basically what I'll do is when I give you a final project, everything will be the same with slight variations. Add 3 disks, make 2 volume groups, create 6 mount points. So what? It's the same process. Okay. And down here, I didn't. And then what I want you to try to do is explain the PVs and VGs and LVs and how they all work together. What's a mount point? Why do I need a mount point to go with an LV? And then what's in this Csci FS tab and what's a block ID? I'm asking you to explain it because it also makes a great interview question. Can you explain to me how the LVM works? Okay. And then down here at the end, this is a block ID that when you run that command as root, it will give you the information based on the drive you want, and you want to edit that file to put that information into. Now, how many remember doing all this last week? Yeah. Now, how many of actually can do it all over again from last week? Yeah, it's because there was a lot of steps in there, and there was a lot of steps that I've never done this before. I'll just do it and I'll forget it. That's what happens. Okay. You get very good at relearning in this business. Yeah, I learned how to do that once, maybe 50 times, but I've forgotten at least 55 times. The old comeback is I've slept a few times since I've done that. Okay, now where is this information? It's on the website. You scroll down to text notes. This is what we did last week. Okay, So we're going to do that again. But before we start doing the review, I want to cover something called here documents. So SDF is basically a lab. And then once you get your SDF, you can create a web page and put your documentation out here. You can do any number of things. You can go to one of those online markdown editors, put your stuff in there, put it on the screen, copy, paste to your website. I don't care. But I want you to put it on the SDF site. Okay. The reason being is that if you choose to keep this, it's great to put your domain name on it and say, yeah, I'm in the high tech field. Oh, by the way, here's my domain name and my website. That proves you know something. It works as a portfolio piece. Okay. And what I've done is I've just put some generic stuff in here. And this is what I want to talk about right here. This little friend is called a here document. I want you to think of a here document as the magic elixir that can solve all problems, with a little bit of exaggeration. What this does, this technique, is what gave me multiple raises in many of my, or at least 2 jobs. I used the same technique to get major raises. It was just a stupid here document. I can give the specifics. One I haven't mentioned is in the, this was really cool when I did this. Nobody believed it could be done. When you use FTP in the old version of it, it had a file called .NET-RC. And in this .NET-RC, you put the username, password, and the commands you wanted, and it would do its thing. When I got to Foster Farms, they were using FTP to move data back and forth. And the problem is this is single user, single session. They were getting record locks constantly because the program was written in this obscure basic language that wrote out a .NET-RC file, and then it completed the process and pushed the FTP file to the place it needed to go. Nobody could figure out how to solve this problem. Then I got hired. Well, I had done the same exact thing at my previous employee. Basically, what I did, in those days, I used Perl Net FTP module. And basically, I just wrote basically about 5 lines of Perl and wrapped it. And now it became multi-user. And we didn't have to worry about record locks anymore. And the other senior AIX guy said, how'd you do that? I said, I don't know if I want to tell you. It's real magic. I had to use Perl. He goes, oh, we don't do Perl around here. I said, it solved that problem. And so was my foray into Perl. And then I wrote a check fraud avoidance system in Perl. Big deal. But anyway, the Perl module that was the net FTP, underneath the covers, all it was is a here document. That's it. Now let's explain what a here document does. In the website on the 210, there's this thing where we go down, it says bash, stuff rarely seen. This takes you to the Linux documentation project on Bash. And what it does is you can read up on the here documents on how to do extremely advanced equivalent of what you would do in Word called mail merge. Where do you think Windows got its idea? Is you can use here docs to expand data in a form letter or whatever, okay? But way outside the scope, okay? But what we will do tonight is I'm going to show you the basics of what a here document's about and how it works. So basically what this does is I want you to notice, if you can see it, see the greater thans and less than's in there? What this is saying is, say cat, there's no minus sign, which we've used in the past. It's just implying that that's what we're doing. Cat is the command. So I'm taking the command and I'm redirecting it to a file called upit. And that upit file is now open. And what happens between this tag and this tag is as if I type it in. Okay. Now, let's just highlight that. And I'll show you exactly with how this works. Okay. And I will put it on my virtual machine if I can find where I was logged in. All right. There's that one. I want one that's a little prettier so you guys can see it. Yeah, this will work. Now I've already run it, so I'm going to put it into a different directory. Oops, I guess I killed this. Let it sit too long. Boom. See what the IP is. IP address is fine. So I'm on my console. I'm going to log into my virtual machine. Why do I use Y? X Windows. So I can get graphics. We're going to make a new directory. It's called temp. I'm going to call it here one. Okay, there it is. Now, what this basically does, when I run this script, it creates a new file called upit. And what is this?
You don't have that script posted to the website.
Maybe. This is going to be some of the stuff you do, because when you build out your VM, remember the functions we did? Remember how we changed the bash RC for the path? Yeah, remember, we're going to make the directory bin. We're going to put this in it. We can do that all with a here document in bash. That's kind of what this process is leading up to. This particular script is one that I happen to use for updating Debian and Ubuntu. It's basically what runs on these machines. Now, this one is running as root. I don't want to do that. I want to run it as Tux. So Tux means I have to do a little bit of modification to this. Whoops. Notice I had got my A's there. See those A's? That was an arrow key. That means I need to install that Vim stuff to fix my VM. Okay, let's fix that first. So let's save that. sudo apt install vim nox. That's one of the ways to solve that problem with the arrow keys not working right. And as we discovered last week, for some reason, my disk is super slow. Don't know why, but it could be that I think I got like 4 or 5 drives in here. And I forget which ones I've got. Anyway, I'm probably on a spinner. Now, when I use Vim or VI on the here one, my arrow keys work. I don't get the letter A and key C, D, W, okay? I fixed it, okay? So I want to rename this to /home. Oops. And basically what I need to do is put sudo in front of these. So time to learn some VI tricks, okay? apt-get and apt are functionally equivalent. apt-get allows you to script it. Apt gives you errors if you script it. Maybe. Okay. So what I'm going to do is say set nu. And I want to put sudo in front of lines 5 through 12. So the way I do that is I hit escape : 5, 12, substitute the beginning of the line with an sudo space /g. Taking your time to learn VI can make you scream on editing because your fingers never leave the home row. So you're not running around to the weird keystroke combinations and always running to the mouse to do things. You just do it straight from. So there it is. Okay. And then I put these in here for future reference. You will get a package corruption somewhere and you'll spend 15, 20 minutes looking for the answer. That's it right there. You would say dpkg, as in Debian Package Manager, configure-a, and it will fix itself. This works on Debian, Mint, Ubuntu, anything that's built off Debian. Okay. So once it's saved, watch what happens. WQ. So if I say bash here document, oops, ls minus this. There's my file. You can see the up it, right? Let's remove it. Run it again. Well, how did you know it's not there? Well, now you know it's not there. I run it, and there it is. So it's ready to rock and roll. So if I run this now, all I need to do it this way. Chmod +x /upit, and this will update my machine. This particular update is what I run once or twice a week in here. Because I typically after classes, I'll reboot these machines and see if they all reboot and find out who's messed up what machine. and see how they behave. I know that's going to happen. You know, this is a lab after all. So there it goes. It's doing its thing. Now, in this Uppit script, let me try to find something that does something else. I think I know where I have it. But here documents are great because the here document idea is in Python, in Ruby, in Perl, all Lua, all your scripting languages support some sort of a here document. Here's what I have done. I've used the Python here documents to generate Python source code. So I don't have to type it all in. So this is nothing new. You would write COBOL to write a COBOL report. So you had a report generator written in COBOL that would take parameters and create a report for you in the days before SQL existed. Okay. All right. And we'll let that continue on while I'm looking for my other file here. I know what we can do. Let's do it this way. Whoops. Remember the funcs, the dot funcs? Now mine's got a lot of extra junk in it. We basically put in the header and footer, didn't we? Right? Well, if we want to put this, we could also put this in our here document. We can put our vimrc in our vim document. We can put all kinds of trippy things in our here document. So we have one bash file that we download after Debian is installed, and we run it, and it creates the directory called bin. It puts the uppit file in there so you can upgrade it. It chmods it. It creates the dot functions. It creates your dot bash aliases. Boom, all done. And you don't have to copy each file over and hand roll them. Okay. So think of this as a piece of the puzzle to make your life easier when it comes to automating stuff. Okay. Now I've already done this. So in the bin directory, maybe I didn't do this. So basically, let's go back to temp here. Let's finish the process. I need to create a directory off of my home, right? So let's put bin bash up here at the top. And I'm going to call it here one. And so first thing I want to do is mkdir $home /bin. That will work for any user. It'll work for Tux. It'll work for other users you've created on the system. Okay. All right. So I create that directory, and then I'm going to change directory to bin. All right. So I'll just say cd $home /bin. Then I run my cat script or here document. At the end of it, what directory am I in? Bin. What do I need to do to make it executable? Chmod And the name of the file is up it. So now when I run this, it will create the directory, put it in the right place, and chmod it. All done. So you can add your other files that you know you're going to need to make your machine customized. Okay. And I'm going to log in and go to when I log into my Jeremy Box's Tux, my bash aliases don't have much in there, do they? So let me do that again and go into the account. Let me look at the bash aliases here. As you can see, I have a few more. Okay, got a lot more. They all mean something to me. But what I want to do is let's use these. Those are the ones that I use a lot of. Okay. I want to put them in here. So here's my bash aliases. I want to put it in my here one. How do we do that? Same thing. We say cd enter because we are in the bin directory. Then I'll say cat dot bash underscore aliases. Make sure I spell it right. And I'll call it bash ALI AESIS. I always get confused with that word. Bash aliases. I can always tell programmers who are not dyslexic. They use long words that are spelled right. And I will put them here. And I'll get rid of this because we'll do that another way. And now I put bash. Make sure it's spelled the same. Even if they're both wrong, they just have to match. Now, what is important is that the name, this one has to be in column one. If you put a space there, it won't work. But I want to put that path statement into my bash RC. Whoops. What will that do? It's going to append our path statement to our bash RC file and make it the very bottom line. So my here one document is now modifying 3 files and creating a single directory. I can continue this process with everything that makes a machine unique for me individually and keep doing it. Oops. I'll do it again. This is all my gnarly VimRC that I keep modifying and changing from month to month as I learn more. Okay. Comments in VimRC are double quotes. Okay. All that stuff means something. Okay. So now I've got 4 files that are going to be modified and 1 directory created. So there it is. So if I run it, let's just chmod it. And run it. Now watch what happens when I bring up Vim. It's got the new colors in the back. It's got all that stuff for me. And if I source .bashrc, I now have the aliases I like to use. And what did that take? This. That's it. So you can make this long and gnarly and do all kinds of things. Here documents are also how you import and export data. Well, import data into databases. They come in really handy. Insert into, insert into, insert into, insert into. And you don't have to sit there and type them in. Okay. So that's a here document. Really simple. And I do want to show you one trick that you will probably never see anywhere. But let's take my bashrc and look at how ugly it is and say, hey, there's a couple things I really don't want in here. I need a multi-line comment. They don't make them for bash. So how do you do a multi-line comment? You use a here document and cheat. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to go down to here. The way it works, it's considered a hack, but it works. Use a semicolon. Okay. And then you use the here document and you say comment. And then you put that in single quotes. The reason we use, I guess I need 2 M's in there, huh? The reason we use the single quotes is that means this value will not get expanded. If I take the quotes off, dollar term will show up. Okay. And I'll just go down to here. And we'll just take, and we put in COMMENT. So now basically everything between those 2 statements will be commented out of my bashrc. So if I source it, I might get some crazy errors. Nope, it worked. So what basically happened is that colors aren't going to work very well, and other things are going to be messed up. Okay. But you can use that colon, chevron comment with the single quotes on it. Why do you want to know? Well, while true, do echo minus n star. Yeah, I'll do that. Sleep one, done. Oh no. Why is echo star giving me all that noise? Shouldn't it be just a star? This is great. The things you learn the hard way. Globbing. Globbing is what it's called. If I want just the star, I put quotes around it. So what happens with the star by itself? It works like a wild card. Okay, so when you say echo star, say what?
Is it random each time?
No, it's the same every time. Let's go back to that shell script. You tell me, is that random? No, it's the same exact thing. It's moving because it's not lined up right, but okay. Now, these are the types of things that show that you can get around to bash. Okay. All right. Not to say that that's going to do anything for you, but I actually had an interview question about this. See that? They wanted to know what this meant. Obscure. If you look at the top, if I grep, PS stands for processes, give me everything in the full format, and I want to grep all the processes that belong to Tux. I also get my grep process that I grepped. Grep minus V grep says, grep everything for Tux except for the grep that you're grepping. Yes, that was an interview question. I doubt anybody asks this question anymore because you're not going to know that. Even if you pass the Linux Plus, you're not going to know that. If you hack and bash all day long, you're going to learn this kind of stuff. Okay. So, caveat emptor. All right. That while star, this one, that simply says while true. This goes back to one of the earliest shells ever, but more accurately, you would spell it true. And yes, the T is uppercase. So if I do echo minus N splat and do done, there's no sleep in there. Oops, true isn't found. While one, I'll go back to my colon. I want to show you this. I used to put these on my machines. I don't do that anymore. We used to call this speedo, as in speedometer. And we'd have one of these running on a terminal somewhere. And if it's slowed down, we know something was consuming resources, whether it be CPU, IO, whatever. Well, now they have much more elegant tools that show graphs in pretty colors. But it was always fun to do something like this and just let it run and watch the boss come by and going, I said, what's that for? Well, it's telling me how fast the machine is running. And they would go, oh, and that's, you could just sit there and stare at that and say, yeah, I'm monitoring the system. All right. Now, let's use our notes, and you build a script that creates this file, just like we did. So create a here one that creates the uppit. And what do you need to remember?
Really tough.
Cat, file name, label, label. These are uppercase. So what do? You take that and put it in a file and put that at the top and that at the bottom of that. How do you run it? You say bash, whatever the name of the file is, here one. And boom, it creates your script for you. Okay. And then the rest of the evening, you can look at the notes on the website and redo all this stuff on your virtual machine so you don't mess up my servers, my machines. Okay. And I will help you, as you know. I have not shown you these, but really quick, what that does is that when I log in is I can do VIRSH list. Those are my virtual machines that are running. I'm on my host, not the virtual machine. I can type in VIRSH console, the name of it, Deb 12 dash. Guess what am I going to get when I hit enter here? I should get, oh dear, I haven't run the TTY. I need to do something first. Let's go over here. Here. I need these guys. I need to run these. Yeah. Let's see if that fired up. Yep, it's working. Q. Now this should work. Yep. So do I need Virtual Manager to connect to my virtual machine? No, all I need is a terminal. And I use the VIRSH command and I'm connected in. But I do have to set my Getty on S0, which is part of your instructions. I got to do those. How do you check it? Two ways. We'll get to that later. Okay. So tonight is basically a review of what we did last week with some new additional stuff that you'll be doing. Okay. You know, if you think about where we're going, is we create the dot functions as part of our bash RC that creates an automatic HTML header and footer. We could also use a here document to create our own index page. Because one of the things I will tell you to do is install the Apache server and change the default homepage. You can automate all that with a here document. Well, just open your brain up a little bit to just, hey man, I can solve a lot of problems this way. Yes, you can.
It's great. I'm just gonna create a map. Rabbits, right? No, right? Or what? Or makes it- Nice. Or percussions. Perhaps of the close ways, this is common. You have to try it. So I do think so. Oh, that's so. probably just more. And it worked with other.
Good work. Okay.
Oh, the SUDOPES, it's because your LVM stuff is not installed. SUDO app install, LVM. The way we're doing future automated install, LVM install with our after that runs, it'll work. Write it down so you don't forget that.
Yes, sir. It's not gonna matter.
All right, so it worked. Well, that was easy. Okay. Nice. Okay.
That's all. So, back here. Yes. How long did it? So, that's
Yeah, it times out if you don't keep it pretty. History. That's their own. That's pretty cool. And you want to just type in slash user slash kg slash two slash bash. Oh. That validate is what I will do once I get your login. Because what happens is there's a script called instruct. And what it does is it validates all your users so you can make those sort of changes. Otherwise, you're stuck with just using Corn Shell and it doesn't give you the ability to do a web page. So once everybody fills out that form, I'll update them and then you'll be able to log in and set up a web page documentation. Why doesn't that work?
fine. And then it's not only it's fine. So we go to straight up. Up. No, the one that I did was just not. Just make a new file. So why I just have to be able to type it. That's it.
Ah,
So there's such stuff. That's not. Same thing. Oh, you know what?
next week, we'll start getting into the pre-seed file.
Yeah.